Hello, Transmanians, and welcome to a special and unique journey challenge. In this video, I take on an unconventional experiment, traveling from Oshawa to Hamilton without using GO Transit or the Toronto subway. Instead, I relied solely on local transit systems, including Durham Region Transit, the TTC, MiWay, Oakville Transit, and Burlington Transit. My final destination? The Hamilton GO Center, right in the heart of downtown Hamilton. Typically, this trip would take about 2.5 to 3 hours with GO Transit. But that's not the route I chose. So the big question is, how long did it actually take to travel from Oshawa GO Station to Hamilton GO Center using only local bus services? How many buses did I rode on? And how many times did I had to pay the fare? Watch the video to find out. I arrived at Oshawa GO Station shortly after 6:15 a.m. Under normal circumstances, I could have boarded a GO train to Toronto's Union Station, then transferred to either another GO train to West Harbour or a GO bus directly to the Hamilton GO Center. However, this journey was going to be different. Instead of taking the conventional route, I boarded Durham Region Transit Route 902, heading toward Bowmanville. My plan was to disembark at Park Road and King Street, where I would transfer to the 900 DRT Pulse Durham's Express service, which would take me into Scarborough, Toronto. Using my Presto card, I paid a fare of $3.60. If the transfer to Route 900 was timely and seamless, it would qualify as a continuous trip, potentially allowing for a free transfer to the TTC under the 2-hour transfer window. After a brief ride on Route 902, including an unexpected and somewhat frustrating layover at the Oshawa Center, I made my way to the DRT Pulse 900 stop. The stop was located at Park Road and Bond Street, since King Street runs one-way eastbound while Bond Street runs westbound. By this point, 25 minutes had passed since I left the Oshawa GO Station. Unfortunately, the wait for the 900 Pulse was significantly longer than expected, nearly 25 additional minutes, bringing the total travel time to nearly 50 minutes before I was even back in motion. When the bus finally arrived, it was the first and only articulated bus I would ride during this entire journey. The route would take me west on Highway 2 through Whitby, Ajax, and Pickering, before concluding at the University of Toronto Scarborough campus in Toronto. That's where I planned to transfer to the TTC's 995 York Mills Express. However, due to the extended wait, I was uncertain whether the transfer window would still be valid, raising the possibility of needing to pay another fare. I disembarked at Ellesmere Road and Military Trail, where I planned to make my next transfer. The ride on the Pulse 900 had been unexpectedly smooth and efficient, with the bus maintaining a consistent pace throughout. Thanks to that, I was now well within the transfer window and eligible for a free transfer to the TTC. Additionally, Ontario's One Fare program, introduced last year, allowed seamless fare integration between participating transit agencies, meaning I could transfer to the TTC without incurring an additional charge. As I stepped off the DRT bus, the TTC's 995 York Mills Express arrived almost immediately. This route would take me along Ellesmere Road and York Mills Road, ultimately terminating at York Mills subway station, my next transfer point, where I would catch the 996 Wilson Express. The ride to York Mills Station on the 995 York Mills Express wasn't as smooth as my earlier trip on the DRT Pulse 900. The bus encountered frequent waiting times to longer stops at intersections, minor traffic congestion, and heavy passenger volume, typical of the morning rush hour. The steady stream of boarding passengers slowed the pace considerably. At this point, I had made it about halfway across northern Toronto and was roughly halfway to Hamilton. However, the most time-consuming part of the journey still lay ahead, with several more transfers to complete. From York Mills Station, I had two options: board the local 96 Wilson, which makes all stops, or take the faster 996 Wilson Express. Although the 96 was already at the platform and preparing to depart, I opted for the 996, a more efficient choice for covering the next leg of the trip. Since I was already within the TTC's fare paid zone, I was able to make this transfer without paying an additional fare, even though my original transfer window had technically expired. By this point, nearly 3 hours had passed since I departed the Oshawa GO Station. Interestingly, the arriving 996 bus was an Orion 7, a rare sight on this route, which typically uses Nova buses. The express bus traveled west along Wilson Avenue, stopping at Wilson Subway Station before continuing to its final destination at the Humber College Bus Terminal. There, I would connect to MiWay for the next stage of my journey into Mississauga.
Next stop, Avenue Road. This is an express vehicle. Next stop, Wilson Subway Station. This is an express vehicle. Next stop is Lincoln Avenue. This is an express vehicle.
As the bus approached the Humber College Bus Terminal, it passed the new Line 6 Finch West LRT station, situated conveniently near the terminal. The ride itself was smooth and efficient, with the bus maintaining a steady, brisk pace throughout, and even overtaking the 96 Wilson bus that had previously been ahead of us.
Next stop, Humber College Bus Terminal. This is an express vehicle.
Next on my journey was MiWay's 107 Malton Express. This route would take me past Toronto Pearson International Airport, continue along the Mississauga Transit Way, and ultimately terminate at the City Centre Transit Terminal, adjacent to Square One Shopping Centre in the heart of Mississauga.
Express to Sydney Central. Please pay your fare.
At this point, I made my second fare payment of $3.40. So far, I was genuinely impressed with how smoothly the trip was progressing. Initially, I had anticipated reaching Hamilton sometime after 3 p.m. However, if this pace continued and I managed to keep catching my transfers on time, there was a strong possibility I could arrive earlier than expected. Near the Mississauga City Centre Transit Terminal, construction on the Hurontario LRT was visible. However, progress appeared to be minimal, and based on current conditions, I estimate that the line may not be completed until as late as 2029. The ride into Mississauga was fairly average. At times, the bus moved quite slowly, slow enough that the 109 Meadowvale Express overtook us along the transitway. That said, it ultimately didn't impact my schedule, as the next bus I needed to transfer to had not yet arrived. My next connection was MiWay's 110 University Express, which would take me to the South Common Center bus terminal, my transfer point to Oakville Transit. I had originally planned to catch the 12 p.m. Oakville Transit bus, but if everything lined up, there was a possibility I could make the earlier 11:30 a.m. departure instead. If I managed to catch the 11:30 a.m. bus, I would still be within the transfer window, allowing me to continue the journey without paying another fare. Following a smooth and efficient ride on the 110 University Express, I arrived at South Common Center with time to spare, confirming that I would be able to catch the 11:30 a.m. Oakville Transit bus and take advantage of a final free transfer before it expired. The next leg of my journey was aboard Oakville Transit's route 24 South Common, which would take me directly to Oakville GO Station. However, this marked the end of the express portion of my trip. From this point forward, the remainder of the journey would be completed via local bus routes, stopping at all scheduled stops along the way.
Oakville, go, via Uptown 4, Shirley College. Trafalgar Road and Rosegate West.
After another pleasant ride aboard Oakville Transit's route 24 South Common, I arrived at Oakville GO Station, where it was time to transfer to the next leg of the journey, Route 14A Lakeshore West. This route would take me through downtown Oakville and onward to Appleby GO Station in Burlington. Interestingly, this was the first GO station I had encountered since departing from Oshawa earlier in the day. At this point, I had two options, Route 14 or Route 14A, both of which terminate at Appleby GO Station. As I had just missed the regular Route 14, I would be taking the 14A instead. However, that meant a wait of approximately 20 to 25 minutes before the next bus was scheduled to arrive.
Hit the record button.
Route 14A, Appleby Road, via Marlowe Drive.
I paid the final fare of the journey, $3.40, and the travel time on Route 14A was sufficient to ensure I could make my last and final connection at Appleby GO Station. As I arrived at Appleby GO Station, I watched the bus I intended to catch depart right before my eyes, the first time during this entire journey that I had witnessed narrowly missed a connection. Fortunately, it wasn't a major setback, as the next bus was scheduled to arrive shortly. The ride on Route 14A was fairly smooth, though it felt somewhat circuitous at times as the bus appeared to double back to serve several intermediate stops before finally continuing toward Appleby GO Station. By this point in the day, fatigue was beginning to set in, and I found myself starting to drift off. Fortunately, I had just one final bus left to complete the journey. The last leg would be aboard Burlington Transit's route 1 Plains Fairview, which would take me directly into the heart of downtown Hamilton. From there, it would be a short walk to my final destination, the Hamilton GO Center. With time to spare before my transfer window expired, I was well positioned to complete the final stretch of this ambitious trip.
Route 1, Plains to Hamilton. This bus will depart at Route 1 to Appleby GO. Yellow tape to open door.
And just like that, I had finally arrived in Hamilton, with the bus terminating at the intersection of King Street and James Street. The final leg of the journey was smooth overall, with only minor delays caused by construction-related traffic congestion. Despite that, it was a pleasant and efficient ride. From there, it was just a short walk to the Hamilton GO Center, marking the successful end of this unique transit adventure. And so, the journey concluded at the Hamilton GO Center. The trip from Oshawa GO Station to Hamilton took exactly 8 hours and 23 minutes. By comparison, taking the conventional route via GO Transit would have taken approximately 2.5 to 3 hours. Remarkably, I arrived slightly earlier than my projected time, making it to Hamilton just before 3 p.m. In total, I boarded 9 different buses and spent $10.40 on fares. For reference, the standard GO Transit fare for this trip would have been $17.33. So, after completing this unconventional journey, would I recommend skipping GO Transit to save money? For shorter trips, such as traveling from Durham Region to Toronto, it's a viable option. But for longer, cross-regional travel like Oshawa to Hamilton, it's far less practical. The time investment is substantial, and the process of transferring between multiple local systems requires precise timing and a strong understanding of each network's schedule and fare policy. In fact, the total travel time was comparable to that of a domestic flight, from home to hotel. Still, this was a fascinating experiment, one I had been wanting to try for some time. Now that it's complete, I'll be taking GO Transit back home and enjoying the rest of this warm and well-earned day.